Hello, everyone. Slide 1 is the title page, and today we are going to become word detectives. We're about to explore Oscar Wilde's incredible story, The Happy Prince, and to do that, we need to find the clues he left behind in his language. Think of these vocabulary words as keys. Each one unlocks a deeper part of the story, helping us understand the characters, the setting, and the powerful message. Let's start unlocking. Slide 2, Gilded. All right, our first word is gilded. This adjective means something is covered with a thin layer of gold. For instance, the palace doors were gilded, so they shone brightly in the sunlight. This is a really important idea. Something that's gilded looks rich and valuable, but it's just a surface appearance. It's like putting a filter on a photo to make it look perfect. The Happy Prince statue is gilded from head to toe, a shining landmark for all to see. But I want you to keep this question in your mind as we read. What is the difference between looking good and actually being good? Slide 3, Sapphire. Next up, we have sapphire, a noun for a valuable bright blue gemstone. As in the example, her necklace had a sparkling sapphire that matched her eyes. For centuries, sapphires have symbolized wisdom, truth, and royalty. It's no accident that the author chose sapphires for the prince's eyes. They are what he uses to see the world. Think about that. His sight is literally made of something precious and true. This tells us that the act of truly seeing and understanding the world around you is an incredibly valuable gift. Slide 4, Ruby. Just like a sapphire, a ruby is a precious gemstone, this one a deep, fiery red. For example, the king's crown was decorated with a large ruby in the center. If the blue sapphire represents clear-sighted wisdom, the red ruby is all about powerful emotion, love, courage, and especially sacrifice. The prince's ruby isn't on his crown, but on the hilt of his sword. A sword is usually a symbol of war and power, but here, its most precious part may be used for a very different purpose. It's a hint that true power might not come from fighting, but from giving. Slide 5, Cathedral. Now for a place, Cathedral. A cathedral isn't just a church, it's a massive, magnificent building that was the heart of a city. For instance, the cathedral's stained glass windows glowed with many colors. The story tells us the statue stands high on a column near the cathedral. This is intentional. Both the cathedral and the statue are meant to loom over the city, to be symbols of its power, wealth, and faith. They are built to make the citizens look up in awe. As we read, think about what these great public symbols are supposed to represent versus what they actually do. Slide 6, sorrow. Let's move to a powerful feeling, sorrow. This noun means a deep, heavy, and lasting sadness. It's much stronger than just feeling unhappy. For example, she felt great sorrow when her pet cat passed away. Sorrow is the emotional engine of this entire story. When the prince was alive, he never knew sorrow. Now, as a statue, he sees it everywhere. This emotion is what transforms him from a simple monument into something more. It's the feeling that connects him to the people below. Slide 7, Seamstress. Now let's meet a person who feels that sorrow. A seamstress is a woman who sews for a living. The example is, the seamstress fixed the rip in my bag during lunch break. This wasn't a creative job like a modern fashion designer. It was exhausting, repetitive work, often done by candlelight in poor conditions for very little pay. The seamstress represents the invisible people in the city, the ones who work tirelessly to create beautiful things for the rich, but live in poverty themselves. Slide 8, pricked. Here's a small word that says so much. Pricked. It means to be poked lightly by something sharp, as in, Emma pricked her thumb while working on her needlepoint project. Imagine that tiny, sharp sting. Now imagine it happening over and over, all day long, while your hands are cold and tired. This single word is a brilliant piece of imagery. The author doesn't just say the seamstress's job is hard, he makes us feel a tiny piece of her constant, nagging pain. Slide 9, coarse. Another word that helps us understand this world is coarse. It means something is rough and scratchy to the touch. For instance, she wore a scarf made of coarse wool that made her neck itchy. This is a sensory detail that tells us about poverty. The wealthy in the city would have clothes of silk and soft velvet. The poor had coarse fabrics. This one word shows the huge physical gap between the lives of the rich and poor. One life is soft and comfortable, the other is rough and irritating. Slide 10, Garret. And where would these poor people live? Often in a garret. A garret is a small, unfinished room in an attic right under the roof. Like in the example, the young artist rented a garret at the top of the old building. Garrets were famously cold in the winter, hot in the summer, and often drafty and dark. This is the classic home of the starving artist, a person with brilliant ideas and dreams who is trapped by their poverty. It's a place where creativity and suffering live side by side. Slide 11, Withered. Our next word is withered, which means dried up and shriveled. We often use it for plants. The plant in the window withered after a week without water. Something that is withered isn't completely dead yet, but it's losing its life, its color, its freshness. Wilde uses this word to describe things in the story, but it's also a powerful metaphor. Think about what else in this city might be withering. The hopes of the poor, the dreams of the artist, or the compassion of the rich. Slide 12, pomegranate. Now for a fruit, the pomegranate. As a noun, it's a fruit with a tough outer skin, but when you open it, it's filled with hundreds of juicy, jewel-like seeds. Example, we ripped the pomegranate open and red juice splashed everywhere. It's a symbol of abundance, life, and hidden treasures. Have you ever eaten a pomegranate? Slide 13, Match Girl. Next, we meet the Match Girl, a poor girl who sold matches on the street. For example, the Match Girl stood on the corner, hoping someone would buy her matches before nightfall. This was a real and tragic reality in Victorian times. Children had to work these dangerous jobs. If she didn't sell her matches, she couldn't go home. She represents the absolute most vulnerable person in the city, a child, alone and in desperate need. Slide 14, Sphinx. From the cold city streets to the Egyptian desert, we have the Sphinx. We know it as the great statue with a human head and a lion's body. The swallow in our story talks about seeing the Sphinx and his desire to go to Egypt. Fun fact, the Great Sphinx of Giza was built around 2500 BCE. And for a quick check, why do you think the Sphinx was built with the body of a lion and the head of a human? Think about what those parts could represent or symbolize. Slide 15, Beggar. Back in the city, we find beggars, a person who must ask others for help to survive. For example, a ragged beggar lingered at the gate of the great house. The existence of beggars in the city is a direct challenge to its reputation as a happy, prosperous place. They are living proof that something is wrong. The prince, from his high perch, is forced to look at this uncomfortable truth that the wealthy people walking below might try to ignore. Slide 16, starving. This next word is extremely powerful, starving. It means to be suffering or dying from extreme hunger. This is not the feeling you get when you miss a meal. This is a state of desperation. The example is chilling. The children on the street look starving, with no food and tired eyes. By using this word, the author tells us that the poverty in the city is not a minor inconvenience. It is a life and death crisis. Slide 17, listless. And what is the result of that starvation and hopelessness? It is being listless. This adjective means having absolutely no energy or interest in anything. Like in the example, the class felt listless on Monday morning after the weekend. Imagine being so hungry and so cold that you don't even have the energy to play or laugh. This is what the prince sees. He doesn't just see children who are poor, he sees children who have lost the very spirit of being a child. Slide 18, leaden. This word, leaden, means heavy, dull, and gray, like the metal lead, while the outside of the prince is gilded and bright. The story mentions his simple, heavy, leaden heart. Gold is valuable, beautiful, and light. Lead is common, dull, and heavy. Why would the most important part of the prince be made of lead? Maybe it suggests that real love and compassion aren't light and pretty. Maybe they are heavy, strong, and not beautiful on the surface. That is for us to figure out. Slide 19, furnace. Our final word is furnace. A furnace is an intensely hot oven used to melt down metal. For instance, workers wore protective gear while feeding iron into the roaring furnace. A furnace is a place of unmaking, of destruction. But it can also be seen as a place of testing. Fire burns away everything that is superficial, everything that is just for show. In a furnace, only the strongest, purest substances can survive the heat. When you hear this word in the story, ask yourself what is being tested and what is truly pure. And we have come to the end. So there you have it, our key vocabulary words for the happy prince. These are not just words on a list. They are the tools Oscar Wilde uses to build a world, create emotion, and ask some very big questions. As we read, keep them in mind, and you will see the story in a whole new light. Thank you for being excellent word detectives today.